earth is an answer to a prayer. Even if we don't know whose prayer it is, and even if it isn't the answer we wanted, the earth is the answer to a prayer. At least that's what Mary Oliver says in Morning Poem. Welcome back. This is the 16th Sunday of Pentecost. Now, I don't know what Mary Oliver was feeling when she wrote this poem, or what exactly the thorn is that we carry heavier than lead. But as she so often does, she makes a sandwich of beauty and suffering, hope and grief, and notices how the natural world takes them both in stride. Yes, there is grief and sorrow and suffering, but every morning, the world is created. It's easy to think of Mary Oliver as mild-mannered poet of nice, pretty things, but lately I have been imagining her as a fierce prophet, like Isaiah. Let me turn to those verses from the great prophet, poet of Israel, Isaiah. Now, I don't know why the masterminds who put together the Revised Common Lectionary decided to end today's reading from Isaiah at 7a. They stopped mid-verse. Here's what they cut off. Best poetry in the chapter. Just this one line. In the haunts where jackals once lay, grass and reeds and papyrus will grow. And you see, the eyes of the blind are open, the ears of the deaf unstopped, the legs of the lame leaping, the tongues of the speechless singing, waters in the wilderness, pools cooling the burning sand, the haunts of jackals now lush with green. Isaiah and Oliver are doing the same thing. Say to those who are faint of heart, be strong, do not fear. Isaiah is directing his poetry at the despairing exiles in the aftermath of Jerusalem's destruction and the laying to waste of the temple. Now, to a desert people, he is reminding them of the miraculous that happens when even a little bit of water feeds the desert, an explosion of life and color and change. The earth is an answer to its own prayer. Now, Mark's story today is an awkward guest at this party because it's about other things. I'm not going to focus on it, even though that first paragraph is one of my favorite stories in the entire New Testament. But in a nutshell, it's about how a Lebanese Gentile, a woman on a mission to save her child, bursts in on Jesus, who's hiding. For reasons that aren't explained, he seems to be avoiding everyone. But once inside the house, in the face of Jesus' obvious anger, she successfully confronts his culturally born racism and misogyny. He faces his prejudices and changes right there on the spot. He turns around a full revolution and becomes different. Powerful woman, powerful story. A Jesus who challenges us to do the same. Now, back to the earth and Isaiah and Mary Oliver. I feel like I'm not alone harboring a dark, cold fear for our children and grandchildren in the climate changed planet to come. While it is my nature to be hopeful, and while, as Mary Oliver describes, swim away along the soft trails for hours, my imagination alighting everywhere, my imagination is also quite capable of recognizing the dangers and the darkness and the consequences of behaviors that we will not repent of. And so I take interest in Isaiah and Mary Oliver, two prophets of hope in their respective worlds in which hope seems like a bad bet. Isaiah reminds us it is God's world, not ours. And God has the last word. There's music in the cosmos we haven't heard yet, and being immobilized with grief disables us at the very moment we need to act. Likewise, Mary Oliver pulls no punches, nor tries to deny the thorn we carry inside that is heavy as lead. It is there, and death is all around, suffering too. There's no perfume in that pig. She simply sits on the bench with our grief and then introduces it to her other friend, the one that recognizes every morning the world is created. We are welcome to sit in the shadow of our grief and carry that leaden thorn inside, but keep trudging, she says. Deep inside, she whispers, you hear that beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted. In other words, this dying and this endless caravan of death is exactly as the earth would have it. And from it, the world is created every morning. They call to us this pair of prophets separated by 25 centuries, as if they knew each other as well as they each seem to know us. Isaiah and Oliver are standing on either side of us, shoulder to shoulder, with us in between. We face a world carpeted with the blood of our violence and sickened with the poisons of our toxic plastics and noxious fertilizers. Looking down on this kingdom to come, we grieve, we fear, and get immobilized and even nihilistic about it. They lean in on us, Isaiah and Oliver, and quietly, poetically say, turn around, turn around. And that is the point. If we do turn around, we see an alternative. It doesn't have to be the way it's always been or the way we fear it will be. When we turn around, we see that we can do something. And even though we cannot control it the way we so desperately want to control, if we act, if we put our hands into the hand of God and add our small actions to the millions and the billions of all the others acting with us, then something will happen. And so we can risk hope. Now, when we turn around, change, and do something, then we understand that even when we face hope, we cannot see the horizon and how it will turn out. But we can't see past the dark corners when facing despair either. On the horizon of hope, we know that on the other side is God's music, not ours. But from here, we can see that it matters what we do and how we do it, and that we can act. And with that, even though I said I wouldn't, we get back to Mark and Jesus and that Syrophoenician woman. When we pay attention to the subtlety of that story, we see that immediately after Jesus has the transformative encounter with the woman, he leaves Tyre and goes to the Decapolis. Recognize, please, the Decapolis was a series of 10 Gentile cities. After opening himself in that moment with the woman who confronted his bigotry, he turns and explores a whole new realm. He suddenly goes into foreign territory, someplace he's never gone before, and that all of his contemporaries warned him against. You see, the message to us is that even though we each harbor a wasp nest of prejudices, forming cysts of bigotry on our hearts, like Jesus, with the Syrophoenician woman, we now know there is an alternative. We know we are not condemned because of the demons that will always inhabit us. And we know we can do something different. That a revolution, a turning around awaits us. Isaiah and Oliver on each side, urging us to turn around and act differently, to act as if there is hope, and to act as if it matters what we do. It turns out to be true that every morning the world is created. And you know, the same can be said of you and me. Peace be with you.